at that, Ariel.
This will be you when we show you the following animatronics.
We're Luz and Sauco, and today we're covering 17 animatronics that will trigger your arachnophobia.
We'll go from the least spine-chilling to the pure nightmare fuel. Number 17. Web Slingers. There are very few rides in Disney parks that I don't like, and Web Slingers is one of them. It's not like it's a bad ride. The queue and the concept are very cool, but it falls short in terms of excitement and replay value. Moreover, throughout the ride, there's nothing physical to see or experience, and that it's a huge fail for me, especially when compared to Universal's Spider Ride, which is far more impressive. However, one of the redeeming elements of Web Slingers is the spider bots. These spider animatronics are present in the queue and throughout Avengers Campus. Additionally, we can see them digitally integrated into the ride. Despite their cuteness, for people suffering from arachnophobia, witnessing the sheer number of spiders and the destruction they cause can be quite triggering. Nonetheless, has been well received, and if you're a fan, you can even take one home by purchasing it within Avengers Campus.
Number 16. Flo's V8 Cafe, California Adventure. It's no secret that we love Halloween, and also that one of our favorite lands in all of the Disneyland Resort is Gardaland. So of course we love it each year when Halloween time comes around and the two are mixed together. Gardaland is decked out in decorations for its Halloween takeover. We can see spooky faces made out of tires and traffic cones, spider webs, gravestones, ride overlays like Honking Halloween and Mater's Graveyard Jamboree, and several photo ops. At the entrance, we find Scary the Scare Car. We also see this terrifying zombie car and this very cute sugar skull car. But the scariest of them all is the spider car at Flo's V8 Cafe, who has been spinning lots of webs around the place. This photo op can be seriously terrifying to take advantage of for some people. After all, you can get into the spider to take a picture with it, and seeing its long legs up close is very creepy. But fear not, because as a fun fact, we can tell you that this spider car is a repurposed Toadmobile from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Number 15. Jungle Expedition, Avonturenpark Hellendoorn. This entry was a suggestion from QDude24. This animatronic had a very peculiar appearance. This boat ride is located in the Netherlands, at Avonturenpark Hellendoorn, and takes us on a quest to rescue Roger, an adventurer, and his parrot, Hilsnabel. Throughout the journey, we discover clues in their audio logs, and when we get to the final scene, we enter a temple that we realize is filled with cobwebs and terrifying hanging spiders. Finally, we come face to face with a gigantic arachnid. Although this animatronic is straightforward and the design is somewhat peculiar, it's truly terrifying. The face is designed to look like a kind of a skull. The most amusing part of this ride is that we eventually find Roger, just in time, but completely wrapped in cobwebs, with a help sign. Do you think the design of this animated prop is a bit strange? If you love animatronics like us, please consider subscribing, leave a like, and drop your video suggestions below.
Number 14. Haunted Mansion, Walt Disney World. The Haunted Mansion at Disneyland is our favorite ride in the world. But today, we're going over to Walt Disney World and Tokyo Disneyland to their haunted mansions, so we can talk about a pretty terrifying scene that could be found in both rides. The scene featured two large human-eating spiders that could be seen in the endless staircase area in the mansion. They would stay on their webs, moving their legs and making clicking noises. And in the early days of the mansion, they would be shown alongside their prey, a man trapped within their web. This was similar to the skeleton we used to see in Snow White's Scary Adventures. But this was quickly removed and became kind of a legend. In 2007, the whole scene was removed at Walt Disney World, but it remained untouched in the Tokyo Disneyland mansion. It's very surprising that we don't see many spiders in a ride like the Haunted Mansion, but we can imagine that many people are thankful for that. There's also the spider that was placed in the glass panel of the ballroom scene at the Disneyland Haunted Mansion after a guest left a hole in it after firing a gun. The spider was placed there because it was impossible to change the glass panel, so it was easier to put the spider to cover it.
Number 13. The Spider, Lagoon Park. The following arachnid was requested by many of you. The spider is still a spinning roller coaster located at Lagoon Park in Utah. One of the most attention-grabbing features of this thrilling ride is the presence of two gigantic black widows. These terrifying creatures are the work of a sculptor Richard Preysen, who managed to construct them in a record time of 6 weeks. The team used 1,000 references of Black Widows to make them as accurate as possible, and I don't know why, but hearing this makes me even more scared of it. The giant spider stands about 15 feet tall, covers a 27-foot diameter, weighs 2,800 pounds, and cost $50,000 to create. Every few minutes, a spray of water bursts from the spider's mouth, adding to the chilling effect. Initially, it was planned to have only one Black Widow, but the park liked it so much that they commissioned another to welcome the visitors.
Number 12. Jungle Cruise Disney World. One significant difference between Disneyland's Jungle Cruise and the one at Walt Disney World is that in the one at Disney World, we can find a terrifying giant tarantula. This is a fictional species called Uridelma, and it has a very cool story behind it. In 1938, entomologist Kon Kunosuke transported a specimen with the help of the Jungle Navigation Company. This creature was kept at the Amazon River base until the doctor mysteriously disappeared in the rivers of adventure. And so, in this ride, you can find the animatronic beast. Not exactly during the ride, but in the queue. There, you can find it with a cast member that operates it and can activate the creature to startle the guests. Many find it terrifying, but there's an adorably charming aspect to it as well. During the Jungle Cruise overlay, this fearsome tarantula is seen wearing a Santa hat. We can all agree it's very cute, wouldn't you say?
Number 11. Gengu Animatronics. The following animatronics not only trigger arachnophobia, but also megalophobia. In China, there is a company known as Gengu Tech that specializes in creating very scary life-size animatronics, and one of their specialties is the creation of insects and arachnids. Gengu has crafted different designs of terrifying giant spiders, like this one with simple movements but a terrifying design. For instance, this spider they created is equipped with smart sensors that react to sound, movement, or touch. These animatronics are made of super durable materials, and the cost of $3,000 per creature isn't much considering the impact they can make. If you were to create an attraction, would you consider buying any animatronic from Gengu?
Number 10. Spinning Spider Legoland. What could be scary about a teacup-style spinning ride? Well, watch this. This ride is a spinning spider, located in Legoland Windsor. You're already familiar with the ride system, so we won't tell you much about that. But what's terrifying about it, it's the huge spider that's watching guests spin around below her. The giant Lego arachnid sits on her web looking at her prey spin round and round. It really helps that the spider is made out of Legos, which tones down the creepy factor a little. But then you see how her eyes glow and her huge fangs and long legs move, and you can't help but feel very uncomfortable. Just imagine being below that colorful and creepy spider.
Number 9. Arthur, Europa Park. The next spider animatronics on the list are going to leave you terrified for a long time. Tell me if I'm right, or if I'm exaggerating. Arthur at Europa Park in Germany is an inverted roller coaster with an incredible twist. It's also a dark ride, filled with animatronics and incredible scenes. Another fantastic ride that I need to add to my bucket list. There are many things to say about this attraction. Let's focus on 2 truly terrifying animatronics. The first one can be found after passing through a scene full of animatronic creatures. Just before leaving this scene, we come across a kind of spider-like monster. The design is incredible, but equally terrifying. And as if that wasn't enough, as the car picks up speed, we encounter the real arachnophobia nightmare. We pass through a neon light cave, where a gigantic spider with neon eyes awaits. We quickly zoom through this area. The design and size of this creature are extremely haunting, especially for those who have a fear of spiders, like me.
Number 8. Jumanji, The Adventure, Gardaland. This next ride is mind-blowing and a dream for any Jumanji fan like us. This is a brand new attraction that opened last year in Gardaland in Italy. The attraction is themed after the new Jumanji movies, and it takes us into a dangerous jungle full of animatronic animals and scary and huge stone giants. And we would love to tell you all about this awesome ride, but let's stay on theme and take a look at the scariest scene for any arachnophobe here. The spiders. After an attack from the stone giant, we escape, but then we enter a huge spider web. Suddenly, poisonous spiders start attacking guests and falling from the ceiling. The spiders look terrifying, and I can imagine that it is awful seeing them come so near you and so suddenly. This ride is amazing, and we would love to experience it someday, even if we have to put up with a spider attack.
Number 7. The Darkness, Haunted House, St. Louis. One of the things that Luz and I love the most are haunted mazes, and of course, haunted houses. While doing research for this video, we came across The Darkness, a haunted house in St. Louis. One thing that we loved was their extensive use of giant animatronics from various companies like Unit 70 and of course, the Scare Factory. For fans of animatronics like us, it's an absolute goldmine. Throughout the journey, there isn't a single spot without some giant animatronic. Right at the beginning, people can find a room filled with cobwebs. As we continue, we encounter abnormally large spiders, and as we turn upwards, we are faced with a huge animatronic spider. In this photo, you can see how the spider looks up close, with all its complex mechanisms, and it truly feels like something straight out of a nightmare.
Number 6. Wicked Witch's Hunt, Thorpe Park. Wicked Witch's Hunt opened first as Phantom Fantasia in Thorpe Park in 1983. This first version featured dark scenes in British history like Sweeney Todd's barbershop or a beheaded Queen Mary of Scots. And it wasn't until 1994 that it was refurbished and renamed Wicked Witch's Hunt. With this refurbishment came new scenes created to scare guests more than they already did. There were some witches cooking up a brew in a cauldron and a scene where the main witch was stuck in a cell with a huge spider rattling the door. But the worst scene for many of you today was the spider scene, where guests would move through many spider webs to the sound of spiders moving. There were several spiders surrounding the ride carts, and suddenly a huge spider with a terrifying face appeared. The mixture of the sounds and movements made the scene very scary. Sadly, the ride, along with its spiders, were affected by a major fire in 2000, and the ride and animatronics were completely burned, and it sadly never reopened.
Number 5. Haunted House, Alton Towers. Our next attraction possibly shows one of the largest and most terrifying spiders on this list. In 1992, Haunted House opened at Alton Towers, becoming one of the most iconic rides in the park for a long time. This dark ride took us on a tour of Emily and Henry Alton's house to meet some of its more interesting residents, while going through the endless Great Hall, or the more sinister-sounding Ghost Corridor. But the worst of all, the Hall of Spiders. In this room, a super creepy voice asks us if we are scared of spiders. Then, out of nowhere, you came face to face with a terrifying giant spider. The spider's design was brutal. It is no wonder that what people remember most about this ride is the scene. In 2003, the ride changed to become interactive with laser guns and was renamed Duo. The Haunted House Strikes Back. With a new storyline, the ride underwent some modifications. However, in 2022, it closed again for Emily to take control of the house once more, with new modifications that we will see later on.
Number 4. Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, Universal Studios. You're gonna be feeling very sympathetic towards Ron Weasley after watching this.
Harry, I don't like this at all. Shush.
These creatures are so terrifying that many people decide to skip this ride just to avoid them. As you may know, the world of Harry Potter is full of fantastic creatures, and Universal Studios has done an excellent job bringing them to life. That is the case with Forbidden Journey. In every version of this ride, there is a truly chilling scene, and I'm not even talking about the Dementor attack, which is horrifying in its own right. I'm talking about the scene with Aragog. Although it lasts only a few seconds, this scene is truly dreadful with people with arachnophobia. After we go through the scene with the dragon, our vehicle enters the forest, where we come face to face with giant spiders. But as if that weren't enough, we unexpectedly encounter Aragog, an enormous spider with eyes everywhere that comes very near the vehicle. After this shocking encounter, the danger isn't over as spiders fall from the ceiling attempting to attack us, until finally Hermione saves us with the Araña Exhume spell.
Number 3. The Curse at Alton Manor, Alton Towers. As we mentioned before, Alton Towers' haunted house was changed first to Duel, the Haunted House Strikes Back, and then once more. This time, it was transformed into The Curse at Alton Manor. This new version tells the story of Emily Alton, who was banished to the attic by her parents, all because they don't want her to be a part of the party they are celebrating. Emily's loneliness transforms into bitterness, attracting dark forces that consume the manor. The ride is filled with terrifying scenes, from possessed dolls and dark hallways to incredible projections. It is a fantastic attraction, But one of the most chilling scenes is by far the attic scene. Before entering the attic, we see the shadow of a giant spider crawling into the room. Here, we encounter many possessed dolls, but suddenly, we have a horrifying encounter with a huge spider with bright red eyes. This spider is positioned on the ceiling of the attic and comes very close. Unlike the previous spider, it has a totally different design, being more realistic and removing the humanoid face. Which spider do you find better, the new one or the previous one?
Number 2. It's tough to be a bug. Animal Kingdom. This is one of the most terrifying Disney Parks attractions for many guests, if not the most. Guests of all ages have been terrorized by this attraction. It's Tough to Be a Bug is supposed to be a kid-friendly show where Flick has made us honorary bugs just long enough for him and his pals to show off a few insect survival skills. But things go south very quickly when Hopper arrives. Hopper calls his friends to attack guests. There are several hornets that sting the audience using pneumatic pistons in the seats. But the worst part of these attractions are the spiders. Everything turns dark, and suddenly, lots and lots of black widow spiders come down from the ceiling and move up and down, trying to capture and scare guests. Just hear that audience reaction. This attraction is definitely one you want to skip if you have arachnophobia.
Number 1. Hollywood Tour, Phantasialand. You won't believe the final state of this animatronics. The Hollywood Tour at Phantasialand was a water ride that took guests on a journey through iconic films. Many of us are familiar with the terrifying shark that has become a submechanophobia nightmare. But one aspect that many consider even worse was the gigantic animatronic spider. A huge spider awaits guests. Its legs so close that you could almost feel its furry texture. The size and proximity are just some of the reasons that makes this animatronic truly terrifying. To add to the horror, after the pandemic in 2020, the ride was completely abandoned, and this animatronic was left abandoned to rot and in pieces. Kind of like the withered versions of the animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's. The ride is now in the process of being demolished, but it will live on in our nightmares forever.